Good evening, everyone. White Witch 110 here. I hope you enjoyed that little blurb of the airplane. They've been going over here a couple of times today. They usually, well, they haven't in quite a while. Anyways, I am back to continue with the story about Abigail and Scott. Not now. And here we go. Gary made his way towards Abigail, and she confronted him. "Why did you tell Scott you were my boyfriend?" "I never told him that." Gary was defensive. "The night you had car trouble." "I told him I brought my date home, that's all." "It wasn't a date. We were two friends having an evening out, that's all." She was adamant. Gary was acting weird. She hadn't seen him like this before. "Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't know he would take it that way." He apologized and moved closer to her. "I've wanted you from the first time we met," he admitted. She brought her hands up to stop him. Abigail's back was against the wall, and she had nowhere to go. Gary's hand reached out to her face, and he caressed her jaw, making Abby very uncomfortable. "Please don't, Gary," she said quietly, but he continued. Memories of a former job came quickly to her mind. In a shared space, a drunken employee had attempted to grope her. She had grabbed his hand and shouted no, and he walked away. Gary wasn't as easily pushed away. With each no, he pressed himself harder into her body to gain control. Abigail fought each advance of his hands away from her, though she was not always successful. "Gary, I told you no," she began shouting. His mouth came closer to hers. She turned her head to avoid contact. She felt his breath on her face. Her pleading became panicked, and her voice escalated. From the open door to the party area, Scott heard her voice as the evening ended. At first, he wasn't sure what she was saying, but then he realized she was in trouble. Scott peered out into the hall and found Gary with Abigail alone. Scott moved quickly to her aid. He knocked Gary over, then took him from his shirt and pinning him against the wall. As his fist pulled back, ready to hit its target, Rob and Mel rushed out. Rob pulled Scott off of Gary, while Mel attended to Abigail, crumpled on the floor. Gary began to laugh with nervousness. "You drunken idiot," Rob scorned him. Abigail found her strength with help from Mel to stand. She confronted Gary. "Why did you do this? How could you be so disloyal?" His laughter turned to tears within seconds. "I'm sorry. My God, what have I done? It all got out of hand. All she wanted was for you to call her." "What are you talking about? And who is she?" Abigail asked. "Your mother." He's seen the shocked look on her face. "With your father on holidays, she thought this would be her chance to make things right. All she wanted was for you to call her, to start the healing. Scott was out of your life, so being afraid you would call her for support." "She sent you to do this?" She tried to understand. "Darlene knew I worked here. She approached me one evening before I got into my car. She would pay me well. All I had to do was convince you to call her." Once again, her mother's interference caused her life to spin out of control. This was over the line by miles. Abby took out her phone and called Darlene. "Well, hello, darling. So nice of you to call me. Is there anything wrong?" Darlene was pleased with herself. Her plan had worked. Stay out of my life once and for all. Gary admitted to everything. I told you to leave me alone. What didn't you understand? We no longer have a relationship. And for your information, he tried to do more than scare me. Every time you touch my life, something harmful happens. I thought I hated you before, but it doesn't compare to how I feel now. I loathe every step you take. Just stay away from my life. There is no chance of reconciliation. You gave birth to me and that's it. Just stay away. She hung up, leaving Darlene stunned at the other end. Her entire plan backfired badly. There was no coming back from this. She would have to do with what memories she had, and they were very few. Abigail turned her attention back to Gary. I can't believe you did this, and all for money. I thought you were a trusted friend. I had you stay at my home. It was you outside all those nights, except for the night you stayed over. Yes. He couldn't look her in the eye. That was a friend of mine. He agreed to do it for a small fee. He took a breath. That night you nearly caught me. My heart was pounding. I never thought you would fall into the water. When I turned back and I seen how close you were to the blades, when Jim jumped in, I knew you would be all right. I had to keep going so I wouldn't get caught. Abigail stood there staring at him. All for money. What would you have done if my head had hit the motor? Let him go? No, let him go. I've been through this once before, and I don't want to again. She looked at her uncle, who questioned her decision. 15 years ago, I had someone drunk at work attempt that while I sat at my desk. I was lucky. I said no and pushed his hand away. He left. The police were called the following day, and when the the police asked if he had penetrated. When I said no, that was it. I was told a judge would likely not entertain hearing the situation in court. That is when I realized why women don't report these incidents. I'm not going through that again. She was direct. Gary, I suggest you get as far away from here as you can. You're fired. I don't want to see your face anywhere near the property, her Uncle Rob told him. Gary said sorry once more and walked out the door, knowing he was lucky. Abigail stood stunned. Her uncle moved forward and hugged her. Mel was close behind. Scott stood away from them. Rob had a feeling that Abby wanted words with Scott, so he took the cue to leave with Mel. It was the right time to address his leaving. Why did you leave? She asked. Why did you do it? He countered. Do what? She was confused. Abort our child? Abigail could see the pain in his eyes. I was never pregnant when I was with you. You never had an abortion? He asked. Not with you. It was time to tell him about her past. They sat on the sofa provided in the small room. Abigail poured out her heart and cried. Who told you? She sniffled. Sally claimed that a friend of yours mentioned it one night at the bar. I can't imagine what it was like for you. You've been through so much, and doing this on your own. Scott couldn't believe it. None of my friends here know about it. She lied to get you away from me. She was hurt. How could you even think that I would do that? You know how deeply I love you. I would never have done that to our child. You would never pressure me like he did to be rid of our child. Why would you believe her? She was so convincing. I felt betrayed. All you had to do was ask me. Her voice raised. I was too upset to hear anything you had to say. I was sure you would lie to me. Isn't that sweet? Me lie to you when it was her. I would never lie to you. With everything we went through, you believed her. She told her friend she would get you. It just took her longer than she expected. At that moment, his phone rang. Glancing at the screen, he seen Sally's name. Hello. He answered coldly. Where are you? The party was over an hour ago. Sally demanded to know. I'm at the venue with Abigail. What? Why are you speaking with her after what she did? I'll speak to you when I get home, he told her flatly. You tell me now. I'll talk to you when I get home. Scott hung up. Is it okay if I call you later? He inquired. The stereo system probably costs more than a car. Sorry about that. Is it okay if I call you later? He inquired of Abigail. Sure. Her heart leapt at the realization they may have another chance. Scott was anxious to get home, and by the time he did, Sally felt she was ready for whatever was coming her way. He threw his car into park in the driveway and stormed inside. This was no longer home for him. About time you got home, she said as he walked through the door. This isn't my home. He stared her down. What do you mean? This most certainly is your home. Shut up, he said. Excuse me? Is that any way to speak to your wife? And I didn't appreciate the tone you took with me on the phone, she told him. You lied to me about the abortion. Sally's eyes lit up. Don't even try and say otherwise. Abby and I had a talk. She told me the truth about it. See, so why are you telling me she didn't? She had one years before we met, when she was with Tom, he informed her. Well, she did have one, so I wasn't wrong. She smiled. Wipe that grin off your face. I never thought you could stoop so low as to use something like that against another woman. But I was only looking out for you. I thought what she did was horrible. She would have done the same thing with your child. There is no guarantee that she wouldn't have. Sally felt rectified. Just stop it. I'm so disgusted with you right now. Abigail told me the conditions she was dealing with at that time. And you believe her, she scoffed. Scott took a step forward. You are such a bitch. I don't want to ever see you. And I don't know what I ever seen in you. But I must say, you are an Academy Award-winning actress. I'm taking a couple of bags with me tonight to the apartment. I'll be back in the morning to collect the rest of my things. I don't want you here. This is my home. I can be where I like, she told him. Fine, but don't get in my way. I want to be in and out of here without any problems. With that, he made his way up the stairs to the bedroom and did as he had told her. A part of her wanted to run after him, but Sally knew that wouldn't make the outcome any different. Her lies had caught up with her. She hadn't thought this through very well at all. It was a harebrained idea to begin with. She should have taken more time to formulate something better. Scott came down the stairs, gave her a look, and left. Throwing his bags in the back seat, he jumped in the car and left for the lake. He would stay in the apartment while he smoothed things over with Abigail, if she would allow it. He did still love her. Mel and Rob were in the office the following day, talking about the night before when Mel's phone rang. It's her, he said, seeing Sally's number. She likely has a sob story to tell. Hello, he answered. He talked to her last night at the mansion. He hates me, Mel. He's moving out. She gave her best cry. What did you expect, Sally? Can you blame him for what you did? I don't, myself, understand how you could do that. To stoop that low is even rough for you. I need you back in my life, Mel. I realize what a mistake I made. I was blinded by Scott and a promise. She was trying her best to convince him to go back. I'm never coming back to you. You made it perfectly clear by your actions that I was just a distraction until you could have Scott in your life. I don't appreciate being used like that, and it won't happen again. Save all your tears and lies for someone else. My life is better without you. I don't feel like a male prostitute now. I deserve better. Mel hung up without giving her a chance to speak more shit. Well said, my friend. Must feel good to be rid of her, Rob said. It hurts a little, because I thought I could make her happy, but I did know I was being used. Sometimes you just want to believe you can make them see it's you they really want. It was never going to happen. Abigail! Rob was delighted to see his niece. Hi. Thank you for last night. I really appreciated it. You both mean so much to me. She gave them each a hug. You missed it, Mel said. Sally called me expecting me to run back to her. He told her off nicely, her uncle informed her. I'm glad you finally spoke your mind. But you know, in a way, I feel sorry for her. She'll never be content in any relationship she has. She pointed. Her point was spot on. Where's Scott? Her uncle asked. He's staying in the apartment. Today he's going back to the house to get the rest of his stuff. He asked her to keep out of his way. Hopefully she does, Abigail said. Scott pulled into his old parking spot with the last of his things. Abigail arrived home as Scott was locking his car door. Scott, she turned. He turned to her voice. Hey, he walked over. I think you should move your stuff back into the cabin. The place hasn't felt the same without you there. I figured you may need some time. We need time to work this out, he explained. I don't need any time to think things through. I never stopped loving you, she said. Please come home. I'll bring a bag over tonight, and the rest later, he told her. As he walked into the cabin, Scott felt a level of comfort he'd been missing. His breath of fresh air was back in his life, despite how he had left. Beside each other in bed, Abigail fit so well beside him. He would never leave her again, no matter what. She was the only woman that meant anything in his life. She had been the only one since they first met. He felt his inspiration returning and the drive to work. They were in unison once more. A love like theirs is a magic to experience. I love you, he whispered into her ear with sweet kisses until sleep overtook them both. And that's the end of the story. Of course, maybe some of you are going like, well, what else? What else? I mean, does it work? Do they get together? I don't know. I hadn't thought of writing a fourth in this series, but I might just have to. Let me know below in the comments if you would like me to work on a fourth story of the cabin. If I see that there's an interest, then I definitely will start a fourth one. Just give me a bit of time to think on how I'm going to have this turn out, and then I'll get right on it. I do have another story that I have been working on. It is not complete as yet either. I usually only work on them when I'm at work, in the mornings, at lunch, and in the afternoon. But I guess I'll have to start working on them while I'm here, too, to get them done in better timing. So thank you for joining me this evening. It's a nice night here in Ottawa. Let me show you. I'll back this off. Oops. Hubby and I are just doing laundry. The stuff's in the dryer. I don't know why things look so far away on the phone to what they actually look while I'm standing here. Like that apartment building doesn't look as far away as it does on this phone while I'm looking through. The sun is setting here. To my YouTube family, thank you very much for coming by to hear the last installment. You all mean a lot to me, as I continuously tell you, and I absolutely do mean it. Sounds like we've got fireworks going off somewhere. There were fireworks last night coming from over there in a couple of places. Oh, boat. To anyone new to my channel, please feel free to check out my other videos. If there's anything there that interests you, please give it a thumbs up. Drop me a comment. Yeah, there are other ones. I just don't see them. I can hear the fireworks. Anyways, distracted. Share any of my videos out, friends, family, co-workers, anyone you think that may be interested in them. By all means, it's always appreciated. While you're here, consider subscribing. As you'll see by my videos, there are other subjects that I am interested in as well. The paranormal and crafting. And I don't know what else I have on here right now. I show you some things here in Ottawa. Not as much as I would like to right now. But now that things are starting to open up again, it'll be more comfortable to get around. And if you do subscribe, remember to hit the notification bell so you know when I upload. That sound is totally distracting me because I can't see any fireworks. I'm just hearing them. Bizarre. Anyways, have a good rest of your Saturday evening, and I hope you have a great Sunday. And until the next time, ciao for now.